सबका स्वागत। इसके अतिरिक्त मैं निवेदन करता हूँ ऑल इंडिया फेडरेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के प्रधान प्रोफेसर केशव भट्टाचार्य जी से कि वो आए और मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। प्रोफेसर केशव भट्टाचार्य जी न्याय भक्तों के बड़े दुर्भाग्य व्यक्तित्व हैं, प्रधान रहे हैं और उनके निर्देशन में दिशा निर्देशन में जो है सारे देश में सभी इसके अंतर्गत आने वाले संगठनों हैं, गतिमान हैं, शिक्षक साथियों के हकों के लिए लगातार उनसे संघर्षरत हैं। मैं निवेदन करूंगा माननीय प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी से, जो जनरल सेक्रेटरी है न्याय भक्तों के, कि वो आए और मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। साथियों, आप सभी को विदित है कि प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी शिक्षक साथियों के हितों के लिए लगातार रूप से संघर्ष कर रहे हैं। बिहार के पटना से संबंध रखते आप सभी जानते हैं। तदुपरांत मैं निवेदन करूंगा प्रोफेसर A.K. मोहंती जी से, प्रेसिडेंट है सर वर्ल्ड फेडरेशन ऑफ टीचर्स यूनियन के और बहुत ही जुझारू व्यक्तित्व है। सर का मंच पर स्वागत है। इसके बाद मैं आग्रह करूंगा डॉक्टर विकास श्रीवास जी से, जो प्रेसिडेंट है हरियाणा फेडरेशन ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटी एंड कॉलेज टीचर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। बड़ा जुझारू व्यक्तित्व सर का रहा है। शिक्षक साथियों की अनेक मांगे इनके कुशल नेतृत्व में जो है मानी जाती रही है। सरकारों के द्वारा लंबे समय से एसयूटी के प्रधान रहे हैं। यूनिवर्सिटी के टीचर एसोसिएशन के भी लंबे समय तक प्रधान ये है। इसके बाद मैं निवेदन करता हूं डॉक्टर दयानंद मलिक जी से, समयाचना के साथ मैं कहना चाहूंगा, मैं निवेदन करता हूं प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी से, जो रिटायर्ड प्रोफेसर हैं जवाहरलाल नेहरू विश्वविद्यालय से। उनको सपोर्ट करेंगे डॉक्टर हीरालाल जी, डॉक्टर रविंद्र गासू जी। सर का मन तक स्वागत है। तदुपरांत मैं आग्रह करूंगा डॉक्टर अशोक चौधरी जी से, जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट एडेड कॉलेज टीचर्स एसोसिएशन है, उसके प्रधान है। वो मंच पर आए, उनका स्वागत है। मैं निवेदन करूंगा डॉक्टर नरेंद्र चाहर जी से, जो सेक्रेटरी हैं एआईसीटी नॉर्थ जोन के, कि वे मंच पर आए। साथियों, सभी अतिथिगण जो मंचासीन हो चुके हैं, सभी का हार्दिक अभिनंदन और स्वागत है। किसी भी सार्थक अनुष्ठान का शुभारंभ करने से पहले जो है उसके साथ साथ दीप प्रज्वलन की हमारी सनातन परंपरा रही है। उसी परंपरा का निर्वहन करते हुए मैं आज के हमारे चीफ गेस्ट सहित सभी मंचासीन सम्मानित शिक्षक नेताओं से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए तत्पर रहें, दीप प्रज्वलन करें। मैडम सुनीता भार्गव जो है वो दीप प्रज्वलन में सभी सम्मानित मंचासीन शिक्षक नेताओं का साथ देंगे। ये भारतीय सनातन परंपरा रही है, भारतीय संस्कृति की पहचान है कि किसी भी कार्य को शुरू करने से पहले भारत संस्कृति के ये नियम प्रज्वलित किया जाता है। सभी साथियों से अनुरोध की वे दीप प्रज्वलन के इस पावन उपक्रम के बाद मंचासीन अतिथियों के स्वागत के लिए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं डॉक्टर विनय सोपत जी और डॉक्टर भोजपाल जी को कि वे आज के चीफ गेस्ट प्रोफेसर बेटी देशमुख को बुके देकर के उनका स्वागत करें। प्रोफेसर बेटी देशमुख जी प्रसिद्ध शिक्षाविद रहे हैं, राजनीति के क्षेत्र में इनका बड़ा नाम है। तालियों के साथ स्वागत किया जाए सभी। तदुपरांत मैं निवेदन करता हूं डॉक्टर रामलाल शर्मा जी जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं हिमाचल प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज टीचर्स एसोसिएशन के, और डॉक्टर दयानंद मलिक जी जो प्रेसिडेंट है हरियाणा कॉलेज टीचर एसोसिएशन के, कि वे एआई फुक्टो के प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर केशव भट्टाचार्य जी को बुक्के दे करके उनका स्वागत करें जो आज के गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर हैं। डॉक्टर रामलाल शर्मा जी से आग्रह है कि मंच पर पहुंच करके एआई फुक्टो के प्रेसिडेंट माननीय डॉक्टर केशव भट्टाचार्य जी का स्वागत करें। साथियों, भट्टाचार्य जी लंबे समय से एआई फुक्टो के कार्यभार को देख रहे हैं। शिक्षा क्षेत्र में एक बड़ा नाम है। तदुपरांत मैं आग्रह करता हूं श्री सुरेंद्र कुमार जी से जो सचिव हैं हरियाणा कॉलेज टीचर एसोसिएशन के, चौधरी बंसीलाल विश्वविद्यालय भिवानी से, कि वे मंच पर आकर के
प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी जनरल सेक्रेटरी हैं एआई फुक्टो के, उनका स्वागत करें। उनके साथ रहेंगे डॉक्टर राजेंद्र देशवाल जी, डॉक्टर हीरालाल शर्मा जी से भी मेरा आग्रह है कि वे स्वागत के लिए मंच पर पहुँचे। प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी एआई फुक्टो के जनरल सेक्रेटरी हैं, शिक्षक साथियों के हितों के लिए लंबे समय से प्रयासरत हैं, पटना से संबंध रखते हैं, मगध विश्वविद्यालय में फिजिक्स के प्रोफेसर हैं, किसी परिचय के मोहताज नहीं हैं।
वो अभी नहीं मिला, इसके पास मिल गया है।
एक मिनट ये करवा देता हूँ। मैं आग्रह करूँगा डॉक्टर रविंद्र गासो जी से, डॉक्टर संतोष कुमारी जी से, डॉक्टर सुनीता भार्गव जी से कि वे प्रोफेसर ए.के. मोहंती जी का जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं वर्ल्ड फेडरेशन ऑफ टीचर्स यूनियन के की बुक्के दे करके उनका स्वागत करें। भारतीय संस्कृति में अतिथि को देवता के समान समझा जाता है। स्वागत की इसी परंपरा में मैं पुनः हरियाणा कॉलेज टीचर एसोसिएशन की ओर से मंचासीन सभी शिक्षक नेताओं और मेरे सामने विराजमान सभी शिक्षक साथियों और नेताओं को जो अलग अलग राज्यों से अपने अपने संगठनों का प्रतिनिधित्व करते हैं, उनका आज के इस एकेडमिक कॉन्फ्रेंस में मैं हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं, स्वागत करता हूं। साथियों, कुरुक्षेत्र की ये पावन भूमि जो है सर्वविदित है, सभी जानते हैं कि महाभारत का युद्ध जो है सत्य और असत्य पर यहाँ पर विजय प्राप्त हुई थी। उस न्याय का युद्ध यहाँ पर हुई थी। न्याय की लड़ाई जो कौरव और पांडवों के मध्य यहाँ पर हुई थी, उसी प्रकार का युद्ध जो है आज शिक्षा जगत में NEP 2020 को लेकर के अपने विचारों के द्वारा जो शिक्षक साथी देश प्रदेश के कोने कोने से पहुँचे हैं, जो शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में पर्याप्त मात्रा में महारत रखते हैं, वो उस पर अपने विचार प्रस्तुत करेंगे और विचारों के द्वारा शिक्षक साथियों के साथ साथ विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग तथा शिक्षा मंत्रालय भारत सरकार तथा प्रत्येक राज्य सरकार को अपने उन फाइंडिंग्स से, अपने निष्कर्षों से जो शिक्षक साथी यहाँ पर अपने विचारों के माध्यम से हमारे साथ प्रस्तुत करेंगे, सरकार तक पहुँचाया जाएगा। साथियों, हरियाणा में ये आयोजन जो है पहली बार हो रहा है और इस आयोजन के पीछे का उद्देश्य भी यही है कि NEP 2020 जो है उसकी स्थिति क्या है। इसीलिए इसका शीर्षक जो है 75 ईयर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस स्टेट ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन इन इंडिया रखा गया है कि शिक्षा की दशा और दिशा जो है प्रारंभ से लेकर आज तक उसकी क्या रही है। विद्वानों, ये शिक्षा का क्षेत्र जो है एक ऐसा क्षेत्र है जहां पर देश की नई पीढ़ी जो है वो देश को आगे बढ़ाने का कार्य करती है। अब इस क्षेत्र में भारतीय उच्च शिक्षा में वर्तमान में किस किस प्रकार की चुनौतियां हैं, उनको ध्यान में रखते हुए मैं कुछ एक बिंदु संक्षेप में आपके सामने रखना चाहूँगा कि भले ही NEP जो है वो लागू कर दी जाए, शिक्षा नीतियां जो है आती रही हैं, उनका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होता रहा है। अब जो राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति है उसके लिए वर्तमान में हमारे समक्ष अनेक चुनौतियां हैं। सबसे पहली चुनौती तो यही है कि जनसंख्या के अनुपात में शिक्षण संस्थानों की कमी हमें देखने को मिलती है। शिक्षक तथा आधारभूत ढांचे की यहाँ पर आपको कमी देखने को मिलेगी तथा ये एनईपी जब लागू की गई सरकार के द्वारा, हित धारकों का ख्याल जो है यहाँ पर नहीं रखा गया, न उनसे किसी प्रकार का विचार मंथन किया गया। हरियाणा प्रदेश के कई विश्वविद्यालयों ने अच्छा 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 हरियाणा के कई विश्वविद्यालयों द्वारा इसे लागू करवा दिया गया है। दोनों के दोनों विश्वविद्यालय जो है अनेक प्रकार की समस्याओं से जूझ रहे हैं। नए विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन जो है पूर्ण रूप से एनईपी को लेकर के जागरूक है, उसकी बारीकियों से परिचित है। नए शिक्षक वर्ग और छात्र वर्ग भी बड़े चिंतित इसको लेकर के हैं। समयाचना के साथ मैं निवेदन करना चाहूँगा कि मंचासीन प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जो रिटायर प्रोफेसर हैं जेएनयू से, उनके स्वागत के लिए मैं आग्रह करता हूं प्रोफेसर अतर सिंह जी से, डॉक्टर मौजपाल सिंह से, डॉक्टर सुरेश कुमार जी मेरे सामने बैठे हैं, वो भी इनका साथ दें कि बुक्के के द्वारा प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी का स्वागत करें। प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी जवाहरलाल नेहरू विश्वविद्यालय में प्रोफेसर रहे हैं, जवाहरलाल नेहरू विश्वविद्यालय में प्रोफेसर रहे हैं, जेएनयू में प्रोफेसर रहे हैं। शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में बड़ा जाना माना नाम है। शिक्षक साथियों के हितों के लिए लगातार रूप से संघर्षरत रहते हैं। अब मैं कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए निवेदन करूंगा हरियाणा कॉलेज टीचर्स एच हुक्टो के प्रधान जो है डॉक्टर विकास शिवाज जी से कि वे सभी आगंतुकों का स्वागत करें। डॉक्टर विकास शिवाज जी, प्रेजेंट एच हुक्टो।
Good morning to all. On behalf of Haryana Federation of Universities and College Teachers Organization and Haryana College Teachers Association HCTA, which is organizing today's event, I welcome Professor B.D. Deshmukh ji, Professor Keshav Bhattacharya ji, President AI Facto, Professor Arun Kumar ji, General Secretary AI Facto, Professor Mohanty ji, Professor Narendra Chahar ji जो Zonal Secretary हैं। I welcome all of you in this August gathering of teachers कंटिन्यू करें। अच्छा, ओके। जनरेटर की है सुविधा? अच्छा, जनरेटर है सर, बता रहे हैं जनरेटर है। हाँ जी जी। आवाज़ भी कम करें, थोड़ी सी आवाज़ कम करें, थोड़ी सी। Hello. Yes. Sorry for the inconvenience. We can resume now. So, on behalf of Haryana Federation of Universities and College Teachers Organization, I welcome Professor B.D. Deshmukh ji, Professor Keshav Bhattacharya ji, प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी, प्रोफेसर मोहंती जी, प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी JNU से, प्रोफेसर नरेंद्र चार जी, प्रोफेसर दयानंद मलिक जी, प्रोफेसर घासीराम जी, and all the esteemed guests who have taken time and came here to discuss on this very vital issue of the state of higher education in India. So I welcome all the esteemed colleagues and delegates in this 32nd AI Facto Academic Conference in this holy city of Kurukshetra, Haryana. I thanks AI Facto for their kind gesture in allowing HCTA and HFUCTO in organizing this first ever academic conference in Haryana. Sir, I wish to brought to your kind notice that HFUCTO and HCTA are always at the forefront in any agitation organized by AI Facto in Delhi. Also, HCTA is the most important constituent of HFUCTO and is always in the lead role on various issues that higher education is facing today. The present government is both deaf and blind and is not ready to address issues of higher education and teaching fraternity. Time and again, HCTA and HFUCTO has contributed immensely towards the cause and betterment of higher education and teaching fraternity. There are several issues in our state which are haunting higher education in the state of Haryana. The present government is pressing hard all the government universities to shift to self-finance instead of grant in aid. Also, the university system is continuously under attack, whether it is autonomy or the kind of courses that are to be run or lack of new recruitments in universities and colleges, etc. In the past also, HFUCTO has a rich history of carving out agitations such as 7th Pay Commission, issue of loans to universities instead of grant in aid, and so on and so forth. So I welcome again this august gathering to discuss these burning issues of higher education in our country. So I welcome all the delegates again on behalf of AI Facto and HCTA. Thank you. Long live agitations, long live associations, long live AI Facto. If we again to save higher education, we need to strengthen our associations and we need to strengthen AI Facto. Thank you.
साथियों, इसी क्रम में मैं आग्रह करूंगा AI Facto के ट्रेजर डॉक्टर डी कुमार जी से समायाचना के साथ कि वो मंचासीन साथियों का साथ दें और मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। डॉक्टर डी कुमार जी, डॉक्टर डी कुमार जी यदि मेरी आवाज़ सुन रहे हैं, मुझे सुन रहे हैं तो मंच पर पहुँचे। कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं निवेदन करूंगा आज के चीफ गेस्ट डॉक्टर BT देशमुख जी से कि वो आए और अपना वक्तव्य दें। इससे पहले मैं संक्षिप्त परिचय डॉक्टर BT देशमुख जी का आप लोगों के समक्ष रखूं कि डॉक्टर BT देशमुख जी अमरावती महाराष्ट्र से संबंध रखते हैं। महाराष्ट्र लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल के ये मेंबर रहे हैं 1980 से 2010 तक, लगातार 30 साल 5 बार जो हैं ये MLC रहे हैं। इनका स्वागत है, तालियों गड़गड़ाहट के साथ स्वागत किया जाए। इसके अतिरिक्त एक्टेड एज चेयरमैन प्रोटेस्ट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, एक्स प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र फेडरेशन ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटी एंड कॉलेज टीचर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, मेंबर ऑफ EC and FUCTO since foundation to till today, EC member of Amravati Nagpur Open University and Agricultural University in Maharashtra, President Nagpur University Teachers Association since 1974 to 2011। इसके अतिरिक्त फर्स्ट बेस्ट पार्लियामेंट्रियन अवार्ड इनको मिला है महाराष्ट्र लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल की ओर से, तथा लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड राष्ट्रपति के द्वारा 2009 में इनको मिला है। मैं स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं और मंच पर आमंत्रित करता हूं कि आज के इस एकेडमिक सेशन का उद्घाटन अपने वक्तव्य के माध्यम से वो करें। प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर BT देशमुख जी।
President of the organization, Professor Keshav Bhattacharya, General Secretary of the organization, Arun Kumar ji, dignitaries on the dais and fellow delegates. For me, it's a accidental privilege to inaugurate this conference, and I must say that the subject put up for this conference is of a higher importance, because we are completing 75 years of independence, and within that period, what is the state of our higher education? I would like to deal with constitutional structure and legal structure governing higher education. What is the constitutional structure and legal structure that governs the state of affairs in the higher education? As you all are aware, Constitution has defined the role of central government and the role of state governments. For that purpose, in the 7th schedule of the Constitution, there are 3 lists. The first list is Union list. In that list, at the entry 66, determination of standard and coordination of standard in institutes of higher education is the subject assigned to the central government exclusively since beginning till today. Determination of standard in higher education and coordination of standard in institutions of higher education is the subject included in the Union list. In the beginning, university education was a subject in the state list. In the state list, the higher education, except determination of standard and coordination of standard, was included in the state list, but that was shifted from state list to the concurrent list in the year 1976-77. The subject education, including higher education, was a subject matter of state list till 1977. In 77, it was shifted from state list to the concurrent list. And till today, it is in the concurrent list. Then we are concerned with what are the powers regulating these matters. So far as Union list is concerned, it is the exclusive power of the central government to legislate and to administer. Both legislation and administration of all the subjects included in the Union list is under the full control of Government of India. So far as education is concerned, including university education, since now it is in the concurrent list, the legislation and administration of the subjects included in the concurrent list is within the jurisdiction of central government and also state government. Why I say and also, if there is a conflict between the legislation of the central government and the state government, the legislation of the central government will survive And to that extent, legislation of the state will die down. Superiority is given to the central government, and state government has a secondary role. Now, what has happened about the state of higher education in last 75 years? I am asked to describe that state in one sentence. That one sentence, I will say, not even once in the history of independent India, the entire proposal recommended by the PRC was implemented by a mandatory regulation, even though power is with the Government of India and the University Grants Commission. Not even once. Within last 75 years, those who are empowered for making legislation for higher education and administration of higher education, not even one time PRC recommendations were implemented as a mandatory provision. In the year 1975, education also came to the concurrent list, and fortunately for us, within those days, IFACTO started taking active interest. That itself was established in the year 1963-64. And at the time of Fourth Pay Commission, it was a very strong organization, and as I remember, led by Professor Thekedar and Professor Mrunmayee Bhattacharya, till Keshav Bhattacharya and Arun Kumar. Because of the strong fight put up by the All India Federation of University and College Teachers organization, pay element, even though it was recommendatory, was implemented because of the organizational strength of our All India organization and organizational strength of the respective state units. At the time of the Fourth Pay Commission, till Fourth Pay Commission, they never made even a single attempt to make the provisions mandatory, even though power is with them. Constitution and the law, especially University Grants Commission Act 1956, was introduced in the Parliament for this purpose only. I would like to bring to your notice the statement made by Maulana Azad at that point of time when he made an attempt to make University Grants Commission Act 1956. In his statement, he stated that the responsibility of mandatory regulations is with us, but powers are not with us. So we want to take those powers by prescribing University Grants Commission Act 1956, and the power of prescribing regulations was granted to the University Grants Commission by Section 26 of that University Grants Commission Act. Power was given, but it was never used till 1991. And in 1991, it was used for a very small purpose. It was used for a very small purpose, and what was that purpose? That purpose was to prescribe qualifications at the entry point for a university and college teachers. 1991 regulation, all of us know about it. But while making 1991 regulation, powers granted to them were used in a manner because of which regulations will become mandatory. I am sorry, recommendatory, not mandatory. In Raj Singh versus Delhi,
Friends, it is not good. The inaugural session is going on. You are photography. What is this? You don't understand the decency of the inaugural session. So please take your seat. Those who are roaming outside, it is not good.
regulations were issued on 19th September 1991, and because it was not mandatory in nature, powers given to them were not used and recommendatory powers were used. Secretary of the UGC was writing to the registrar of the universities in the nation. Vice Chancellors were requested by the chairman of the UGC, and the Minister of Higher Education was writing to the Minister of different states. When powers were there, they did not use it. I will just quote you a letter from then time chairman of the UGC written to a Maharashtra Higher Education Minister. Since I was a member of the legislature at that point of time, the letter was placed on the floor of the table of the house. Reddy was the chairman of the University Grants Commission, and he wrote to the Anant Rao Thopte, who was the Minister of Higher Education in Maharashtra. And what was he saying? The universities must be persuaded and urged. Minister of Higher Education in the government of India was requesting a State Minister of Higher Education to request and urge the universities to amend their statutes forthwith, requiring appointment of lecturers through interview only out of the candidates who have passed the UGC or state NET. This is not a recommendatory use of the power. This is when you are requesting. Mandatory power demands a command. Recommendatory power requires a request. That request was not accepted by our Honorable Education Minister. I will not tell you the reasons because it will go to a different length. I will only say that when the matter went to the High Court and to the Supreme Court, Supreme Court ruled in that Raj Singh versus Delhi University case that you have not used appropriate sections of your act, and so your regulations are recommendatory. I will quote the sentence from that Supreme Court judgment. This is because the said regulations made under the provisions of section 26(1)(e) define the qualifications that are ordinarily and not invariably required of a lecturer. You have used that section which make your recommendation recommendatory, not mandatory. And after bringing this to the notice of the UGC, it was not made mandatory till 2000. In April 2000, NET set was introduced as a mandatory qualifications at the recruitment level by using a mandatory power conferred on them by the UGC Act. But what about other provisions? So far as other provisions are concerned, other provisions were not mandatory. If you please do it, we will give you 80%. The Supreme Court ruled that it is not a use of mandatory power. What are the net consequences of not implementing your recommendation? That that state will not get 80%. Only result is not getting 80% amount of the arrears. So we traveled up to 4th pay commission. Even at the time of 5th pay commission, entire package was not implemented by mandatory provisions. It was only because of IFACTO, pay component was made to implement. At the all India level and at the state level, different organizations have to raise their own fights. At the time of 5th pay commission and even at the time of 6th pay commission, mandatory regulations were not issued. They were issued, but after the pay package. In 2010, they were issued. And at the time of 6th pay commission, it was issued in the beginning, but no powers were used by UGC for implementing it in a mandatory manner. Powers were not used. And so it became a pleasure of the state or the universities, and one most deplorable act on the part of the state government was to reduce the assistance. The assistance was reduced from 80% to 50%. Since beginning, it was always 80%, but at the time of 6th pay commission, it was 80%. And then it was a pleasure of every state government. You have to fight at your level. Now, the question before, even today, actually, NEP is the most important subject. But so far as regulatory power is concerned, what is NEP saying? There is a mention in the NEP that light but tight control will be established through regulatory authorities. The wording is in the NEP, light but tight. What is tight? How can it be light? And if it is light, how can it be tight? But even today, it is the nature of NEP. So far as regulating the higher education system is concerned, there will be a light but the tight control. So we are concerned at this stage. I will give a different example. Other regulatory authorities, Bar Council of India, Central Council of Indian Medicine, Medical Council of India, they have mandatory power and they are using mandatory power. They are using. But University Grants Commission is not using its mandatory power. We had a delegation to the then time chairman of the UC, and to the delegation he was saying that it does not look good to direct universities. So you go to the court, and in the court we will support you. And they supported us. They supported us. In many cases affidavits were filed and cases went against the state government and the universities. Now at this conference, we are concerned about primarily legal structure and constitutional structure governing higher education system and our role in that journey. And then is our NEP. I hope this conference will very successfully deliberate on these issues and make a resolve supporting this journey. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सर। आपने अपने इन मूल्यवान विचारों से हमें लाभान्वित किया। शिक्षा और राजनीति के विभिन्न पहलुओं पर अपना पक्ष रखा। विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग और सरकार के द्वारा जो जो नियम लागू किए गए और जो जो कार्य शिक्षक संगठनों ने किए उन पर आपने बड़े सधे शब्दों में रखा। इसी क्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं निवेदन करूंगा एआई फुक्टो के प्रेसिडेंट प्रोफेसर केशव भट्टाचार्य जी से कि वो आए और अपना अमूल्य वक्तव्य जो है सभी शिक्षक साथियों को दें। प्रोफेसर केशव भट्टाचार्य जी।
Respected Professor Deshmukh ji, AI Fukto General Secretary Professor Arun Kumar, Professor Amiya Mahanti ji, Professor Narendra Chahat, D. Kumar ji, and other dignitaries on the dais, and my colleagues. Friends, we are here to discuss on the particular theme here, 75 years of independence, state of higher education in India, for the next 3 days. Now here, I'll say a few words on this particular theme. After 75 years of independence, what we see is this: poverty is increasing, unemployment is increasing, there is growing intolerance, there is huge attack on secular fabric of the country. All 4 pillars of democracy is under unprecedented attacks. There is attack on the right of speech and freedom for expression. So all these things are inevitable, and we see after 75 years of independence. When this is the situation overall, the scenario on education sector is not very much different. I'm sure during the coming 3 days or remaining part of the conference, many things on the issue of NEP 2020 will be discussed. And by this time, major features of NEP 2020 have already been discussed in great details. So I'm not going into the detail of NEP 2020, but instead, here I want to very briefly point out the role of UGC while implementing this new education policy 2020. Everybody will understand that UGC, without any reason, trying to implement or started implementing this new education policy in unnecessary hasty manner. Now this new education policy, if I am asked to describe in one sentence, I'll say, for the first time in India, after previous 2 education policies, one in 1967, then in 1986, this new education policy can be described in one sentence, that is, this new education policy has been designed not for the survival of the fittest, but it is for the survival of the richest in education scenario. That is the new education policy altogether, in my opinion. Friends, what UGC is doing in new education policy, many times reference has been made to ancient India, etc. Now UGC, they are issuing circulars UGC chairman is sending advisory directly to the governors of the states, asking them to promote and spread the greatness of ancient Indian knowledge system. They are prescribing the topics on which lectures are to be organized. Some of the topics are like Khap Panchayat, the greatness of Khap Panchayat, the greatness of the kings and rajas in ancient India. The chairman of UGC has made such comment that the governance in ancient India was best in the world because the sovereignty of the country in ancient India lied in the religion. What is this? Our secular fabric, our pluralistic character, everything is getting destroyed every day, and on the contrary, some idea of majoritarianism is pushed forcibly. And that we have to understand, friends. We all know the syllabus of history, how it has been changed, the freedom struggle of India, that has been changed. The books written by Irfan Habib or Romila Thapar are no longer being taught in different universities. Renowned historian like Romila Thapar has been referred to as the queen bee of highbrow intellectualism of divisive lefts. This is the title which has been given to such a renowned historian, Romila Thapar. At present, what they are trying to project is this, that mythology is history and theology is philosophy in the country. CSIR scientists are sent to Ram Mandir in Ajodhya to explain why on the day of Ram Navami, the first ray of sunlight will fall on Ram. This is the situation. There is no conscious effort to promote scientific tempers. On the contrary, unscientific thoughts and obscurantism are being spreaded. And also, everything is pre-planned. In 15th of August, our Honorable Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji gave a lecture that is India is the mother of democracy. You must have heard the name of ICHR, Indian Council for Historic Research. They have published one book entitled India is the Mother of Democracy. UGC is asking different central universities and other institutions to hold seminars to establish India is the mother of democracy. In this way, they are attacking history, they are trying to jeopardize the well-developed thoughts. Basically, friends, it is nothing but a struggle between two ideologies. One ideology is to make the education sector, like all other sectors in the country, under the corporates, to take it under the corporates, so that an elite expensive education system emerges where there will be no access to the, there will be no access for the common people or the students coming from economically backward classes. And the other ideology is the ideology which says or which demands for strengthening public funded education and education for all. The time has come, friends, when we have to decide which part we shall take. until and unless we try to resist, we come down to the streets, organize protests and dharnas against such anti-people education policies, there is no relevance of existence of IPUCTO or other teachers' organizations. It is not possible by IPUCTO to hold programs centrally every month in Delhi. Our affiliates and the members of those affiliates must understand these, and they must organize programs in their state levels. The farmers have shown us how a strong battle can be won. So if we do not have such commitment, if we cannot go to that extent, we shall not be able to win such a tough challenge. I am sure that during our discussions, our delegates, our friends, our leaders will definitely show us the direction in which we should, in future, align our movement to resist all such attacks. Before I conclude, I want to mention one particular thing. That is, friend, you are all aware that this academic conference was supposed to be held at Kurukshetra University. But unfortunately, day before yesterday, due to some reasons which I cannot clearly spell out on microphone, that could not be held in that particular venue, and it had to be changed. The organizers somehow managed to hold it here. And the governor was supposed to come and inaugurate this program. He also declined due to some external pressure. So the organizers had to take all such pains to rearrange the whole things up. Even after that, they have made good arrangement. Maybe there may be some lacuna that is inevitable to take place in such a big, while organizing such a big event. That is not much, but they have taken the challenge. They are still organizing the program. So, once again, let us give them a big hand. It is not a very easy task, and I sincerely express my thanks to the organizers. With these few words, I conclude. Thank you. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सर। कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं IPUCTO के जनरल सेक्रेटरी प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी से कि वे आए और अपने वक्तव्य के माध्यम से सभी साथियों को लाभान्वित करें। प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी।
Dear President Professor Kesav Bhattacharya, our revered guest and respected Professor B.T. Deshmukh, who has inaugurated this function, PJ President Professor Amiya Kumar Mahanti, Organizing Secretary Professor Narendra ji, IPUCTO President and IPUCTO General Secretary, HCTA President Dayanand Malik ji, Principal Associations के President अशोक कुमार जी, हमारे ट्रेजरर Professor D. Kumarji, all the friends and guests coming from different parts of India, our AI Phukto office bearers, delegates, friends who have come from Bangladesh, and ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to be in the historic city of Kurukshetra, to extend my personal greetings and on behalf of AI Phukto to all present here on the momentous occasion of the 32nd Academic Conference of AI Phukto. AI Phukto expresses sincere gratitude to the torch bearers of AI Phukto in the state of Haryana, HCTA and HF UCTA, Haryana College Teacher Associations and Haryana College University, Haryana Federation of University and College Teacher Associations for their enthusiastic and strenuous efforts to organize this conference in very befitting manner. Friends and comrades, we meeting here on a very difficult and unprecedented situation in which our country is passing through. Our constitutional fabric, secular values, federal structure is being seriously challenged and distorted. You know very well that education in general and higher education in particular by the unilateral and undemocratic imposition of so-called NEP 2020 has made education a foul play of corporate and fundamentalist forces. It has made education sellable commodity, making it accessible to the marginalized and downtrodden people of the country. Friends, you know that AI Phukto since last 65 years has been committed to the values of education enshrined in the Constitution of India. Academic Conference of AI Phukto is the broadest assemblage of intellectuals, academicians, academic administrators, and activists seriously thinking over the future of the education system of our country. The theme, you know, the theme of today's conference, 3 days conference, is 75 years of independence and a state of higher education in India. We will discuss, analyze, debate the historic growth of Indian education system and present assault on our system consequent upon NEP 2020. Friends, AI Phukto from very beginning of NEP 2020 is extremely critical and treated it as an imposition on the collective wisdom of the country. AI Phukto has drawn the attention of the government of India through prayer, petition, program of action to respond to the democratic voice of the people of the country. I am extremely sorry to intimate this House that the central government has become undemocratic and even denied the democratic space of dialogue and discussions. AI Phukto appeals to all of you to think of क्या
एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की भी शरारत होती है बार बार लाइट जो आ जा रही है ना सर
हो सकता है ऊपर से भी हो सकता है। We shall wait. हेलो, क्या इसको यहाँ बिजली कभी नहीं कटती थी, लेकिन बिजली बार बार कट रही है। आप समझ सकते हैं कि हम किस परिस्थिति में अपना कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं। मैं वह आदमी हूँ और HCTA के सारे पदाधिकारी जिसने राज्यपाल से संपर्क किया था, उन्होंने कंसेंट दिया था, परसों शाम तक उनका कंसेंट था और कल वह कंसेंट कैंसिल हुआ। और पूरे भारत की जो फोर्सेज हैं हमारे खिलाफ, उन्होंने उस प्रोग्राम को कैंसिल कराया और तब हमने ये वेन्यू तय किया है। आप हमारे प्रेशर को समझ सकते हैं और आप समझ सकते हैं किस परिस्थिति में ये कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रहे हैं। साथियों, so AI Phukto appeals to all of you to think over seriously on the present educational crisis of the country and find out the solution for the effective and powerful intervention to make the education equitable, accessible, and affordable to all. This is the message for the delegates and our office bearers coming from different parts of the country. AI Phukto hopes that the conference will be the landmark in its history and find out an pro-people alternative to the present pro-corporate educational system of the country. This AI Phukto Academic Conference is fortunate to have its brainstorming session in the historic city of Kurukshetra, which definitely will send the great message of Gita to a struggle for justice in the field of education of the country. So, friends, we are meeting here in Kurukshetra, and the message of Kurukshetra will go all over the country through the AI Phukto leaders, activists, and delegates. And we are sure that we will give the befitting reply of the befitting reply to the government of India and the other states in coming days. And we have to find out the path for the future of the, to save the future of the education system of India. With these words, I congratulate the organizer in great crisis. They are organizing this conference. We are very grateful to him, especially those who are making the arrangement of accommodation, food, hospitality, and other, our PRO, Professor Argaso and others, Suresh ji, Narendra ji, and Sivas ji and Dayanand Malik ji, all are taking pains to organize this conference as good as possible, and I am sure that this conference will be most successful than other conference here in Kurukshetra. With these words, I thank you, all of you. Thank you.
थैंक यू सर। इसी क्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं प्रोफेसर A.K. मोहंती जी को, A.K. महंती जी को कि वो आएं और अपना वक्तव्य शिक्षक साथियों के समक्ष प्रस्तुत करें।
Respected President of AI Phukto, Professor Keshav ji, General Secretary Professor Arun ji, revered guests Deshmukh ji, who has been a close companion of us. We have seen him from 1978 when we entered the AI Phukto, leadership of Haryana, eminent academician and intellectual Professor Arun Kumar, leadership of SCTA, HPU, FTO, and friends who have come from different parts of the India and also from abroad. Bangladesh friends are here. IFOCTO represents unity in diversity. IFOCTO, since its inception, protects, nourishes, defends the multicultural, multilingual, multi-religious identity of the nation. IFOCTO is very closely linked with World Federation of Teachers Union, of whom I am the president. By virtue of my goodwill, faith and trust of IFOCTO, I am now leading the World Federation of Teachers Union, FISE, which has very categorically stand for private, not for private system education. We consider education as a sellable commodity. Education should be equitable, affordable, accessible to the common masses. That is the stand of the IFOCTO and the FISE. Our relationship with the FISE, IFOCTO is more ideological, more affinity, and we believe in struggle. Nothing can be achieved without in struggle. So on behalf of All India World Federation of Teachers Union and on behalf of Joint Forum for Movement of Education, we have seen from 2019 as the national convener, of which IFOCTO is also the brainchild of JFME. We have been struggling against a deaf, dumb and blind government which is irresponsible to the democratic voices of the entire nation. Rightly pointed out by my friends here, IFOCTO believes in struggle. I do not want to go much, time is limited, other will speak. I extend my gratitude. I salute my friends of Haryana, comrades of Haryana, lakhs of teachers of Haryana, who in spite of strong resistance, strong opposition, strong intimidation, they have raised the banner of IFOCTO in the heart of Haryana to speak that Haryana had a long history from prehistoric days to the modern period. They have been very much cordial to the outsider. They have a great tradition of hospitality, and we've seen from pre-Aryan days to till this day how Haryana is an assemblage of democracy. We have seen. So I greet you all, friends. Lastly, I will say a single word. I am neither worried, nor disturbed, nor excited by the attitude of the ruling circle. We have seen it 2 years before in Bhubaneswar. In Bhubaneswar, we have also organized a IFOCTO conference. How in the last moment, under the same pressure, those who didn't want debate, those who are averse to discussion, those who have an authoritarian mindset, they create confusion. But IFOCTO emerged in flying color from Bhubaneswar. And I am also confident IFOCTO with retired and experienced teachers are here, veterans are here, they will come out with all opposition. Time has come. We believe hope lies in the struggle. IFOCTO can only save nation. IFOCTO can only save the campus, and IFOCTO can only give the befitting reply. And this Kurukshetra, which is the battle scene of justice and injustice, will come out with victorious, the sign of justice, sign of equity, and IFOCTO will give the message of a society free from exploitation and free from all domination, and all foul plays of corporate fundamentalists will be niched in the bud. And 2023-24 will be a year of struggle, of the people's struggle against the desperate, arbitrary mindset of the central government, and we go for a struggle to save our country, save our nation. Thank you.
थैंक यू सर। इसी क्रम में मैं निवेदन करता हूं आज के कीनोट एड्रेसी प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी से, जो रिटायर्ड प्रोफेसर एंड डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स JNU। सर मूलतः विज्ञान के विद्यार्थी रहे हैं, साइंस के विद्यार्थी रहे हैं, बाद में इकोनॉमिक्स की ओर जो है रुझान इनका बना। यदि मैं ये कहूँ कि कला और विज्ञान का अद्भुत समन्वय और संगम जो है वो सर में देखने को मिले तो इसमें कोई अतिशयोक्ति नहीं है। ज़्यादा समय न लेते हुए मैं सर से निवेदन करता हूँ कि वो आए और अपने वक्तव्य के माध्यम से शिक्षक साथियों को लाभान्वित करें। सर।
Mr. President, distinguished people on the dais, my fellow colleagues in the audience, it's my privilege to be here in front of you. It's an honor to be addressing you. I have addressed the IFUCTO conferences earlier as well, in Chandigarh, in South India, in Guwahati, and so on. This is therefore one of the addresses that I'm making. I must thank Mr. Naren Kumar for getting in touch with me and for inviting me here. And I've heard the difficult circumstances in which you are having to meet here. The hall being cancelled and other dignitaries not coming, it's a difficult time. It reminds me of the time when I was the president of the Jawaharlal Nehru University Teachers Association in 2014. This government had just come in. We were trying to contact the government to settle the difficulties that the teachers have. They would not meet us. So therefore, I was the founding president of the Coordination Committee of the Teachers Association of Delhi Universities. So we all 7 universities of Delhi University, we got together and we campaigned, and still the ministry would not call us. So therefore, what we did was FedCuta, which had been hijacked from Delhi to Allahabad, we brought it back to Delhi. And still, the ministry would not contact us. Then we tried to build an alliance between FedCuta and IFUCTO so that we had larger numbers, and then the Secretary HRD met us. So in other words, numbers are very important. What strength do we have? How much unity do we have? What issues do we represent? Those are the important things. And this conference must think about the wider unity. Unfortunately, in Delhi University and other universities, the teachers' unity is being broken between the permanent teachers and the temporary teachers and the ad hoc teachers. This unity must be re-established. We must not, those of us who are permanent teachers, we must not treat the ad hoc teachers and the temporary teachers differently. They're no different than us. Sooner or later, they will be us. So in other words, we must bring a wider unity. This is very important. In Delhi University, out of 12,000 teachers, about 5,000 are temporary and ad hoc teachers. And the administration pushes them down. They don't have the autonomy to be able to say what they have to say. They have to follow the principle, they have to follow the administration. This is a scheme of the administration to keep the teachers' movement down. So in other words, we have to have unity, and that's the first thing. Second thing is that we must have a program. And I'm told that you have developed a program. This program is very essential, because without a program, we'll be doing ad hoc changes. We'll be talking in ad hoc manner. We must have a consistent program which will be there. There's a lot of things I can say, but time being short, I have written about higher education since 1987, when the first long strike of the Teachers Association took place. I wrote 2 articles in EPW in 1987. I wrote in the Amrik Singh edited volume in 1988-89, and I have been writing since then on higher education. There are many things to say. We brought out a book called The Challenges Facing Indian Universities, and that was the first publication of the Jawaharlal Nehru University Teachers Association. So in other words, there are a lot of things that I've written. More recently, we have brought out a report on employment and unemployment, where the critical aspect is education. And this report has just been recently released, because education and employment are interlinked. What is the fate of the students? That is interlinked. So in other words, we need to look at the persisting challenges that are facing us. So higher education in India has continuously faced challenges since independence. There have been education commissions, there have been reports, there have been changes during the time of the new pay commissions. But why is the problem persisting? Any problem that persists must have a basic cause. Otherwise, the problem should be solved. So what is the basic cause of the problems that education faces? That is where we have to focus on. And one thing that is clear is that we teachers have to take ourselves more seriously. we at times don't take ourselves seriously. We allow the bureaucrats, we allow the politicians to take charge of the education policy. We have to be in charge of education policy. And this you can see in terms of the NEP as well. How much voice of the teachers was heard while drafting the NEP. All kinds of good things have been said, but that's not good enough. So we need to say, why is education important? It is important because it is what imparts dynamism to society. It solves the problems of the society. So education is the most dynamic element of society, and education must be given the highest priority. Unfortunately, we are not giving it the highest priority. In the budget, when the fiscal deficit rises, what do you cut? You cut education, you cut health, you cut rural development, you cut rural employment guarantee scheme. And where do you increase? You increase everything where the corporate interest is there, like in transportation, like in other areas where large contracts are given. This is an analysis I gave in my mainstream article just last month, that it shows the priority of the government is not education. Whereas we need to get together and tell society, not just the government, society must be convinced that education should be the highest priority, because that is what will give dynamism to society. That is what the future of our youth is, education. And good quality education, not just in numbers, but quality of education must be very high. So therefore, the highest challenge is to create dynamism in society. And why do we need dynamism? Because society has all kinds of challenges. Its solutions have to be found. The solutions have to be found in the long run, not in the short run. Corporate sector will give a short-run solution. Politicians will give a short-run solution. Most politicians have a 1 year or a 2 year perspective. They don't have a long-term perspective. So any solution to the problems of society have to come from educationists, academics, from teachers. Teachers are the ones who are building the future of the society. So what are the current challenges? We are lagging behind in the world in terms of technology. And I'll only give you one example. RCEP, Regional Cooperation Agreement that was to be signed. At the last minute, we did not sign it. Why? Because we knew that RCEP would be dominated by China. Our delegation had gone there. They were going to sign the RCEP. At the last minute, the last day, they did not sign it. And why? Because we are weak in technology and China has dominated in technology. China even sells us very cultural symbols like Ganesh ki Murti, like a kite, a manja, like your gulal, pichkari, and so on. So why have they stolen a march? Because of technology. They have developed technology to a level that our small scale is not able to compete. So we have lagged behind in technology. And where will technology development take place? Through education, through higher education. Without good higher education, technology cannot develop. So therefore, we are lagging behind. Large number of basic problems are there. As was already mentioned in the inaugural aspect, we have unemployment. And in our report on unemployment, we have shown that 320 million Indians have some proper work. But 280 million don't have proper work. So there's a large number of people who don't have proper work. Even our definition of employment is not right. We say that if somebody works for 1 hour in the week, he's employed. How can somebody working for 1 hour in the week support a family? You cannot do that. So therefore, poverty remains very high because people don't have employment, they're unemployed, they're underemployed, and so on and so forth. So that is a critical challenge before us. Education, poverty, these are critical challenges before us. Now, so what are the issues that we face? The institutions are under attack. It's already been said by the earlier speakers that our institutions are under attack. They are being captured. Education is being captured. Just day before, there was an article in The Wire about how selection committees are being appointed. Selection committees have committed people who are only appointing committed people. So in JNU, in one interview for microeconomics, the question that was asked was, what is the property of cow urine? Now, how is cow urine property relevant to the teaching of microeconomics or macroeconomics? So this is the kind of capture of institutions, capture of the positions, and these people who are being taken in will be there for the next 30, 40 years. They will create a political dynamics which will change the nature of education, which will change the nature of teachers. Then there's massive cheating in the examinations. Why is that happening? Why is cheating taking place? Because a degree has become a passport to a job. And the easiest way to get a good degree is to cheat. So cheating has increased enormously in institutions. We have to look at that. The education acts have been violated, and the chief guest has already pointed out many of the lacunae that are there. Then this common syllabus is another problem. You cannot have a common syllabus. You must have the autonomy, a teacher must have the autonomy to devise their own syllabus. A common syllabus is not what is desirable as far as education is concerned. Then, while conducting PhD, now of course I'm retired, but I found plagiarism has increased dramatically. Why? Because people want to get a quick degree. They don't want to go through the mill of working hard and doing it. So plagiarism is another problem. With plagiarism, original research will not take place. And therefore, what is happening is this kind of privatization that's taking place, because of which coaching institutes are developing. Students don't come to the colleges and universities for classes, they go to coaching so that they can get some professional jobs, etc. That is undermining teaching. So this is another challenge that we are facing. Then teachers are getting marginalized in the system. Nowadays, we are using more and more technology. Arizona course, we are using, all kinds of courses from abroad, from internet. And now the new threat of ChatGPT. You must have heard of ChatGPT in the last 4-5 months. ChatGPT can write an essay on anything in 3 seconds. The students don't need to write an essay. They can just tell ChatGPT, write an essay for me on this subject, and within 3 seconds you'll have an essay. Not only that, ChatGPT will also grade the essay. So there's an experiment done where ChatGPT was told to write an essay, and then it was told to grade the essay. So the teacher's task of communicating, of giving knowledge, and then of course grading, both of them can be done by ChatGPT. This is the kind of threat that's coming. Then of course the point that has been raised here, obscurantism. We have all kinds of obscurantism, unscientific ideas which are being propagated today in the system of higher education. The problem is NEP 2000. NEP 2000 is not based on a critique of what is the problem today. NEP 2000 is based on an abstract idea, not on what has been going wrong. So we must identify what has been going wrong and why those problems need to be taken into account. So the larger challenge to education is that there are much bigger forces outside of education which are pressing for it. So for instance, businesses want a docile labor. They don't want a questioning labor, whereas education is all about questioning. So therefore, this docile labor, that is what is being pushed into it. So the philosophical aspects of society, of knowledge generation, have become even more critical today than maybe 40 years or 50 years back. Society can achieve full literacy, no problem. You can teach everybody. But what is the content? Is the content democratic? Are we propagating democratic content? That becomes, then only the question of equity, of equality will come in. So unless our content is right, we will be able to not change the nature of education. So we must give thought to the content. As was already said, the kind of history that is being taught, the kind of sociology that is being taught, the content is very important, and that changes the mood of the people. So the content is very, very important. In economics, what is being taught is market economics. And if you teach market economics, then commercialization will take place. Then privatization will take place. So therefore, the content of economics is also very important as to what is it that we are propagating. So the wider social challenges need to be addressed. And our education must address those wider social challenges. And one of the challenges, alienation in society. People have got alienated from society. People are getting alienated from education. That's why they're going to coaching. So this alienation must be addressed, and the teachers are the ideal people who can address that. They are the people to whom the students look up to. So therefore, if we are there, we can build citizenship in the students. Without us, if you just do ChatGPT, can citizenship come? Indeed not. So citizenship requires us to be there. Then, the issue of education is not simply a job. The issue of education is citizenship, how to be a good citizen. So we must focus on that. What kind of citizen do we want in our society? Now, what are the education policy challenges? And this is where I blame Macaulay. What did Macaulay do? He separated teaching from research. And this is where our problem begins. When you separate teaching from research and higher education, then the dynamism of education goes. You simply reproduce lectures. So my father, who was a professor of Allahabad University, political science from 1946 onward, he used to tell me that the top professors of Allahabad University, what did they say? They said, we don't need a good library because we are for teaching, not for research. So it got internalized in a good university like Allahabad University that the teachers of universities are for teaching, not for research. Good teaching comes with good research comes from good teaching. Because while you're teaching, when the students ask you questions, that is when you get new ideas. When you're not able to explain to the child whatever your concept they're giving, then you get an idea. That's how my ideas came, and I've written more than 300 papers, because all the time the students would question, and when they question, then new ideas come. So in other words, teaching should not be formalistic. It must be a relationship between the teacher and the taught. That is very important, and we must encourage questioning. I must say, Richard Thain came to India from Brown University. He was an exchange student between Brown University and St. Stephen's College. He came in 2012 and he wrote a scathing article saying what kind of terrible teaching is going on in St. Stephen's College. And mind you, St. Stephen's College is one of our best colleges. I studied there for my BSc, MSc, right? And Thain writes that children are not understanding, they're only mugging up. So this rote learning, this mugging up, that prevents children from understanding. And without understanding, how do you build your base of education? Base of education is like the base of a house. If the base is weak, the house would also be weak. So in other words, Richard Thain has pointed to a flaw in our teaching method. We write on the blackboard, students copy it, and they mug it up, forget it after the exams. That has to change. Knowledge must be absorbed. And for that, we have to make the effort to do that. Now, what it suggests is that our approach to education has become very mechanical. This mechanical approach to education must change. If we do not change this mechanical approach to education, education will not become buoyant. And what is the mechanical part? We as teachers are accountable to society. We are being paid by society. We are accountable to society, but accountable to the long-term interest of society, not to the short-term interest. Short-term interest, corporate sector can take care, politicians can take care, bureaucrats can take care, but the long-term interest. And who can deliver that long-term interest? Only those academics who are autonomous. That was the gist of my article in 1987 in the Economic and Political Weekly, that autonomy and accountability are interlinked. And whose autonomy? Autonomy of the teacher. Unfortunately, when the NEP talks about autonomy, it's talking about the autonomy of the university or the college or the principal or the vice chancellor, but not down below. Autonomy must mean that autonomy of the university, autonomy of the vice chancellor, autonomy of the dean, autonomy of the chairperson, and autonomy of the individual. Because when the individual is committed to teaching, only then would good quality teaching come. So my vice chancellor can't come to me, to my room and say, today you have to write a good paper. A good paper does not come out because you're ordered to write a good paper. I don't work till 2 o'clock at night because I'm being recognized by somebody. Similarly, good teaching, cannot come without the heart being into it. There are days when I've prepared very well and my lecture doesn't go well. I can see in the eye of the children that they're not understanding. There are days where I've not so well prepared, but the lecture goes brilliantly and I can see the spark in the eye of the children. And if we can we can create a spark in the eye of the children, that is when they will take off on their own and they'll deliver very good education and good research. So autonomy means the autonomy of the individual teacher. What you are teaching in the class, how you are teaching in the class, how you are interacting with the students, that is real autonomy. Unfortunately, like in Delhi University, what did autonomy mean? Dinesh Singh pushed through the 4-year program without discussion, without proper discussion. So he had the autonomy, but everybody else down below did not have the autonomy. And that's why there was so much resistance to what he was suggesting, the 4-year program, which then had to be withdrawn, which is now being reintroduced. So in other words, autonomy and accountability have to be there. And this is where I'm reminded of the Nobel Prize winner, Professor Higgs. So who was Professor Higgs? Professor Higgs was the Nobel Prize winner for suggesting in 1962 that there is a God particle, the W boson, the God particle. God particle gives mass to everything. So he was working in Cambridge, and he wrote saying that for 15 years, every year Cambridge University asked me, what have you published? And I would say, I have not published anything. 16th year, he wrote this famous article which went on for the discovery of the God particle. And so he says, in today's environment, I would never have survived in Cambridge. But therefore, research is of different kind. Some people will write 3 papers a year. Some people write one good book in 3 years. Some people will write an excellent path-breaking article in 15 years. We must allow 100 flowers to bloom, all kind of research. Different people have different research methodology. They have different inclination. So some people will do short-term research, some people will do medium-term research, some will do long-term research, and all of them must have a space in this. But this API system that we have, that does not allow that. You have to collect points, and you devalue the teacher. Teachers come to conferences and they're running around for certificates. I went to Aligarh Muslim University in 2008 when the API had just come. 300 papers were there, but not one paper was good. This is where teachers are being devalued. We are forced to collect points. What kind of devaluation is this? And we are accepting it without a challenge. And who suggested these? The people who suggested it were also academics from the UGC. So why is that? Because those people who are in power, they are what I call, they are bureaucratized mindset. They are teachers, but they have a mindset which is bureaucratic. That's why once a teacher goes into the administration, the framework changes. That is where we are weak. We must see to it that our colleagues who become something in the administration, they don't have weakened. Now, it is in this context, leadership is very weak. And my professor in Princeton University, when I was doing my physics, Professor David Gross, he got the Nobel Prize in 2004. Professor Gross has said, because he was chairman of the astrophysics department in Bangalore, he said, in India, leadership is very weak. He said, by the time you come to age of 60, you are ready to take on leadership, but in India, you retire your people at age of 60. So leadership is very weak. And where is the leadership coming from? Either politically connected or connected to money power. And they are not the ones who are going to give autonomy. If you are connected to a political thing, we are seeing what the implications are. If you are connected to money power, you see the privatization that's going on. So therefore, the leadership in India is very weak. And what does that weak leadership do? It does not want dissent, because it wants a smooth way for power that it has captured. Therefore, dissent, which is the essence of higher education, is looked down upon. It is treated as a malaise. So I wrote a piece in the Times of India in 1997 saying dissent is the essence of higher education. If I teach economics and I keep saying Amartya Sen is the last word, how would knowledge advance? If I teach physics and I say Einstein is the last word, knowledge will not advance. Therefore, we must teach the students how to critique knowledge that is existing. So dissent is the essence of higher education, and that is what is this thing. But unfortunately, there's a management control that is growing, which is preventing autonomy, like happened in Delhi University, like it's happening in Jawaharlal Nehru University. So today we are faced with a growing pressure of marketization, of markets. Markets are intervening into our thinking. And one of the key things of marketization is consumerism. The more you consume, the more your welfare. This is called rational individuals maximizing their profit. That's one of the basic tenets of market economics, okay? So you consume more and more. And therefore, you have an iPhone 1, then iPhone 5, then iPhone 10, and you are changing your iPhones. So children are in this race to change. Teachers are in this race that I have this car, and I have that car, and I have this thing. Therefore, the real issues get to the background. And this is what I saw in 2007 when the Pay Commission report came. 6 lakh, 7 lakh, 5 lakh areas came. Teachers bought cars, teachers bought big television sets and so on. And then the commitment to the movement weakened. So in Delhi University, when I was the president of JNU Teachers Association, Nandita Narayan was the president of the Delhi University Teachers Association, when she would give a call 25 teachers would come out of 12,000 because teachers were not participating in a greater number in the movement. And Delhi University is very important because that's the largest university in Delhi, and any representation to the Ministry of Education or to the UGC has to be based on the DUTA strength. So you can see consumerism has weakened the teachers' movement to a very large extent. So we need to look at that. What that marketization process is doing, what that commercialization process is doing, how that's weakening the teachers' movement, how that's weakening the resolve of the people. So in other words, our education is today based on creating standards. The UGC says we have standards. So therefore, what is being done is standards being achieved through standardization. That means have a standard course, have a standard means of doing education. But it is diversity that's important. So standards cannot be achieved by standardization. And when the HRD secretary came to JNU in 2009, I asked this question and she said, what can we do? We have to standardize. But standardization is antithetical to higher education. And we must all challenge it. And when we have our autonomy, then we'll be able to challenge that. So in other words, what we need are big societal changes. And teachers have to drive that. So in JNU, this was an incident that happened in 2008, where the rector said, how can we be different from Munirka? Munirka is the colony outside. And this is where we challenged him, and he said, teachers the only one who can be different from what the outside world is. We have to give leadership because we are intellectuals. So a teachers union cannot be like the union of any other labor. Teachers union, that's why when we were in Januta, we created large number of seminars. We held a national conference, which normal trade unions would not do. So we must recognize our intellectual role, and we must play that intellectual role of creating, a different milieu in our society. Now, COVID-19 has played havoc with education. Cognitive skills have gone down, and how to do online courses, that has become the big challenge. How to do online exams, that is the challenge that was faced. So from 1984, when I started teaching in JNU, I used to give open book exams. So they could bring all their notes, no mugging required. Okay? But every semester, children would say, please don't give open book exams because we cannot think in an exam. And I would say, you don't need to mug up. Your notes are there. You just need to answer how to apply. Because if you learn some theory, you cannot apply it, then it means you have not absorbed the knowledge. So absorption of knowledge can only be tested in an open book exam, not in a regular kind of an exam where you have the class notes, you mug it up and you reproduce, and that's the end of it. So in other words, what we need to do is we need to teach in a way that's interesting to the students. Then they won't go to coaching. Then they will have exam pattern which will be different. So that is something that we need to do. Now, the future, I know time is short, the future is going to create huge problems. Because as I said, ChatGPT for us has become, but even otherwise, the rate at which technology is changing, that technical change is creating massive unemployment. To give an example, you have autonomous vehicles coming. So millions of truck drivers and taxi drivers, their jobs are going to go. It is not only such lower level jobs that are going to go, but you can see in the bank also. When we go to the bank, earlier every work had to be done in the bank by the clerk, but now we can withdraw cash, we can get our passbook filled through machines, we can do through internet. So the banking has increased by 1,000 times, but the workforce has gone to half. So in other words, this massive change in technology that's coming is going to lead to massive unemployment, and this is already visible globally. And that's why Mr. Trump was saying that we will bring jobs back from China, from India, from Mexico, back to the US, because in US also the problem of unemployment is growing. So problem of unemployment is growing everywhere, and that's going to challenge, because the students will not find jobs. And when students don't find job, their commitment to education will be this thing. So how do we meet that challenge? Then the other challenge is that now even doctors' jobs, engineers' jobs, etc. can be done through computerization. So not only menial jobs, but even experts' jobs can be done. So large change is coming in the next 20 to 30 years. And there is a book by Kurzweil. Kurzweil says singularity is near. change will be exponential. And this exponential change means we as teachers have to face that challenge, because we are the ones who have to prepare ourselves for the change, we have to prepare the students for the change. And therefore, what kind of learning should there be? So I have argued that the students must be taught how to learn. So learning how to learn. And this is something that has been copied in the NEP also, that the students need to know how to learn so that they can keep reviving themselves, keep changing the job, keep changing themselves. So learning how to learn is a very critical thing that we have to do. Another issue that I'd flag is resources. Because government says we don't have the resources, but this is not correct. Today, our tax GDP ratio is only 17% of GDP. Our direct tax GDP ratio is only 6% of GDP. Most developing countries have 12% of tax GDP ratio in direct taxes, and advanced countries have 24%. And why is our tax collection low? Because we have a large black economy. The black economy drains away resources on which taxes are not paid. If you could tackle the black economy, you'd have an extra 24% tax GDP ratio. Then you can go not just to 6% of GDP for education, you can go up to 10% of GDP for education. And then education will have enough resources. So in other words, country does not lack resources. And therefore, we should not be taken in by the idea that the government propagates that the country does not have resources. Country has the resources, but they are lying in private hands, they are lying abroad, because the black incomes are taken abroad through flight of capital. So to conclude, what are our challenges? Our challenge is to create a wider framework for education, for students, for teachers. If we do that, then only will our prestige be restored. Today, the teacher's prestige in society has been lowered. And with that lowered prestige, people don't listen to teachers. And therefore, the onus is on us to give leadership to society by changing the perception in society about teachers. If we take the lead, then NEP 2020 would not have happened. So we need to take a lead in a very big way. Thank you very much, and good luck to the conference.
थैंक यू सर। कॉन्फ्रेंस के प्रथम सत्र के सभी वक्ताओं का धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं डॉक्टर अशोक चौधरी जी को, जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं एडिड कॉलेज प्रिंसिपल्स एसोसिएशन के। डॉक्टर अशोक चौधरी जी लंबे समय तक हरियाणा कॉलेज टीचर्स एसोसिएशन में संघर्ष के साथी रहे हैं और अब प्रिंसिपल्स एसोसिएशन के प्रेसिडेंट हैं। मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं सर को। सर।
Very good afternoon to all of you, esteemed dignitaries on the dais and worthy colleagues of the dais. I'm sure this morning session has been a wonderfully fruitful session for all of us. And I've been assigned the important duty of expressing vote of thanks to all of you. First of all, I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you to the land of Gita and Mahabharata on behalf of Government-Aided Principals Association in Haryana. It's a wonderful place. This place, Kurukshetra, which is called a city of temples. And I'm sure, along with this wonderful conference, you will have a wonderful stay in this place for the next 3 years. 3 days, sorry. We had wonderful deliberations by the various speakers, starting with Dr. B.D. Deshmukh, who talked about the constitutional and legal structure and status of higher education in India. He discussed the journey of all the pay commissions and the sorry state of affairs of UGC at present, which is not using even its mandatory powers. He discussed all these things at length. Then Professor Keshav Bhattacharya ji, who is president of AI Facto, talked about the problems of poverty, unemployment, intolerance in India in general and particularly in educational scenario. He also talked about the role of UGC in implementing NEP 2020 and termed it as the survival of the richest and not for the survival of the fittest. And he also said how the government is using this NEP 2020 for political purposes. Then Professor Arun Kumar, General Secretary IFACTO, he talked about higher education NEP 2020, which is being used, according to him, as a power play. He said that IFACTO is a great institution which is committed to protect the highest values of higher education in India. And he also termed that NEP 2020 implementation is a challenge in the current educational scenario. Then Professor A.K. Mohanty, he also talked about AI Facto, who called it a symbol of unity in diversity. And then in the end, the keynote speaker of this 3-day conference, Professor Arun Kumar, who is a retired professor from JNU, he very rightly said that it is the issues which are very important. We as an association, we as a union, we all are part of different unions and associations and linked with AI Facto. And it is our unity which is our important. We should not be a union or associations for the sake of it. This is very important. We as teachers are important and we should be serious about it. We should understand it. This was the crux of his speech. He raised all the important issues varying from massive cheating in the examinations, privatization. He talked about ChatGPT, unscientific ideas. And he finally said that it all depends on we the teachers. NEP implementation may be a challenge. It is a policy like any other policy which have come in the past. But everything depends on its implementation. And implementation is going to be done through us, through teachers. And we the teachers need to understand our power. We need to understand our role as leaders. That is what he has said. So I believe that this conference, which is going to be held for 3 days, will bring out important ideas which can be sent to the government and the concerned authorities and will prove helpful in the implementation of NEP 2020. I, on behalf of Haryana College Teachers Association, Principals Association, extend heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers, guests on the stage who have come to this place to organize this first ever conference in Haryana. This is the first ever conference of AI Facto which is being organized in Haryana and in the circumstances which have been described already to you. I wish to congratulate the organizers also. I wish to thank all of you who have spared your valuable time, have come from Pan India to make this conference a success. Once again, thank you very much to one and all. Thank you.
थैंक यू सर। भारतीय संस्कृति में अतिथि देवो भव स्वीकार किया जाता है, माना जाता है। पौराणिक भारतीय सांस्कृतिक परंपरा भी ये रही है। तो आज के इस सारस्वत अनुष्ठान में मंचासीन विद्वज्जनों ने अपने विचार रखे हैं। उनके सम्मान के लिए, मेमेंटो प्रदान करने के लिए मैं सबसे पहले प्रोफेसर बी.टी. देशमुख, जो हमारे आज के चीफ गेस्ट रहे हैं, उनको मेमेंटो देने के लिए डॉक्टर एम.एल. सिंगला को आमंत्रित करता हूं। उनके साथ रहेंगे अमित चौधरी जी, जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज टीचर्स एसोसिएशन के। उनका साथ देंगे डॉक्टर कपूर सिंह ढाका जी। तो सभी साथियों से आग्रह है कि प्रोफेसर बीटी देशमुख जी का मोमेंटो देकर अभिनंदन करें, स्वागत करें, धन्यवाद करें। प्रोफेसर बीटी देशमुख जी। उधर आ जाओ सर। इसके बाद मैं निवेदन करता हूं डॉक्टर शमशेर अलावत जी से, जो गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज से रिटायर्ड प्रिंसिपल हैं। उनके साथ रहेंगे डॉक्टर सीमा सिंघल जी और डॉक्टर सरिता चौधरी जी। प्रोफेसर A.K. मोहंती जी गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर को सम्मानित करेंगे। डॉक्टर शमशेर अलावत जी, डॉक्टर सीमा सिंघल जी, डॉक्टर सरिता चौधरी जी। इसी क्रम में मैं अगले सम्मान के लिए अपने शिक्षक साथियों से निवेदन करता हूं। डॉक्टर नकवी जी, डॉक्टर सुनील कुमार जी, जो जनरल सेक्रेटरी हैं एच फुक्टो के, उनके साथ रहेंगे डॉक्टर नरेंद्र चाहर जी, एआई फैक्टो के नॉर्थ जोन के सेक्रेटरी हैं। ये सम्मानित करेंगे आज के कीनोट एड्रेसी प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार जी को। कि सभी साथियों से आग्रह है कि वे मंच पर पहुंचकर सर को सम्मानित करें। धन्यवाद सर। अब मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं डॉक्टर नरेंद्र चाहर जी को, जो आपको कुछ सूचनाएं और जानकारियां कॉन्फ्रेंस के संदर्भ में देंगे। डॉक्टर नरेंद्र चाहर जी।
Respected members on the dais and my dear delegates from all over India. First of all, I welcome you here in the holy city, in the city of justice at Kurukshetra, Haryana. Being the convener of the conference, we tried our best. Even then, there may be some shortfalls. We will try to accommodate all the things. If you have any sort of problem regarding accommodation or food, you just let us know. We are always at your disposal. So, the session is not going to end here. Honorable General Secretary AI Facto is going to present his report, and this is very important document, my dear friends. What we have done in the last 1 year and with what we are going to do in the coming days. So Professor Arun Kumar is going to present the General Secretary report. The first session is the inaugural part of this. So may I request Professor Deshmukh and Professor Arun Kumar and Professor Amiya Mohanty, they can have their seats in front of us. And I would like to call upon Professor Jahangir from Bangladesh, Professor Jahangir from Bangladesh, to come on the dais, please. Professor Mankar, President, All India Federation of Retired University and College Teachers Organization, Professor Mankar. May please come on the dais. Dear delegate friends, after the presentation of the GS report, we will have our lunch downstairs. So before that, no lunch will be available. So you just bear for the next 40 minutes. And it is very important document Professor Arun Kumar is going to present before you. So after that, we will have our lunch. Thank you.
Friends, before placing General Secretary report, I want to announce the names of the subcommittee because now our conference has started and all proceedings should be noted and everything should be recorded also. So for resolution committee, we have formed a resolution committee. In resolution committee, member's name is K. Pradeep Kumar, Binayak Bhattacharya, Dr. Amiya Mohanty, Dr. Renka Mandal, Bankim Mandal, and Gokul Goswami, Rajesh Misra, and M. Manoj. They are in the M. Manoj, our National Secretary from Kerala. They are the members of the resolution committee. They will prepare a resolution which will be discussed in this conference during the different sessions. So I request the members to note their name and I hope that Professor Binayak Bhattacharya will coordinate the committee. Professor Binayak Bhattacharya, the National Secretary, will coordinate the committee. Second committee is proceeding committee. Whatever being discussed during this session, everything should be noted. So there are some names for English proceeding, there are some names for Hindi proceeding writing. One is Ram Prahlad Chaudhary from Bebkuta. Ram Prahlad Chaudhary for Hindi. Devbrat Das for Hindi, for English. Professor Harishchandra Sahi from Bihar for Hindi. And Ravindra Gaso, here he is one of the member of the organizing committee. He will be in the proceeding committee writing in Hindi. Next is Sunita Bhagra. She will write English. And Varun Kumar. And Varun Kumar is one of the member. And next, Krishna Raj for English. Krishna Raj for Tamil Nadu. Please note, I request all the members to note their name. Take the proceeding book from D. Kumar or from Binayak Bhattacharya and start to note the proceeding of the conference. Friends, you know very well that two important documents will be presented before you. One is a GS report and second, is the alternative document on education. After going through again and again this so-called NEP 2020, AI Phukto has prepared an alternative document. This document is not the final document. It is a draft document for discussions during the conference. So, during the discussions, you should suggest some important parts which can be incorporated in this document. You can give the valuable suggestions so that we can enrich this alternative documents. Tomorrow, you all have in their kits this document. You go through, and tomorrow or after lunch, this alternative document committee will put this document before you. In this alternative document committee, Professor Jaya Gandhi, Professor Amiya Kumar Mohanty, Professor Madhu Pronjape, Professor C. Padmanabhan, Dr. Sunitra Mitra, and Professor Ghasi Ram Chaudhary are the members. One member, Professor Madhu Pronjape, has not come because there is indefinite strike going on in Bombay. So she has not come, but all 5 members are present here. So I request all the members to be here. After lunch, I request them to present that alternative documents and put their views in 2 to 5 minutes. Documents is already printed, so they will, delegates and our colleagues will go through it, and tomorrow during the discussions they will give the suggestions. This is the announcement. Friends, in inaugural session you have heard all the things what happening in the field of education, how this NEP is being implemented, imposed over the country, over the intellectual and wisdom of the country. So we are going through a very tough situation, and in this situation this conference is going on. I am going to present this GS report is also in your kits. I don't want to read out all the things, but important things just I want to point out. And respected President, Professor Kesav Bhattacharya, and our new guest on the desk from Bangladesh, Professor Jahangir. He is the General Secretary of Bangladesh University and College Teacher Associations. So you can greet him as a fraternal delegate. Professor Monkar is here. He is from Kolhapur, and he has been a stalwart of the AI Phukto movement. Now he is the president of All India Federation of University and Retired Teacher Association. I visited Kolhapur last 2 months before, and I seen how they are running the association. They are the inspiration for the AI Phukto movement. They are the very strong contingent of the AI Phukto movement. So I am proud of this fellow, our stalwart, Professor Monkar. Our treasurer, Professor D. Kumari is here. Narendra ji, the organizing secretary, is here. Before us, Professor Jaya Gandhi, Professor Ghasi Ram Chaudhary, Professor Atar Singh is here, and all our office bearers, delegates, and activists are here. Before you, I am going to present our General Secretary report. Friends, first of all, warm greetings and best wishes to you, all of you, on the happy and momentous occasion of 32nd Academic Conference of AI Phukto. I am privileged to express my heartfelt thanks and sincere gratitude to all of you for your unwavering commitment to carry forward the message of IFUCTO to every nook and corner of our vast country. The academic conference of IFUCTO, held between the statutory conference, is of tremendous academic significance. Eminent academicians, able administrators, torch bearers of IFUCTO at grassroots level have assembled here to debate, discuss and resolve how to carry forward the organizational and academic commitment of our great organization. This conference saw the light of the day due to hard and strenuous effort of Haryana College Teachers Association, who carried on this mission in association with Haryana Federation of University and College Teachers Organizations. I am grateful to Dr. Narendra Chahar, Zonal Secretary, North Zone IFUCTO, Dr. Dayanand Malik, Dr. Rajendra Singh, Dr. Hira Lal, Dr. Sunil Kumar and Dr. Suresh, Dr. R. Ghaso and others who to organize this 32nd academic conference. I am also equally express my appreciation to Professor Vivek Dwivedi, Professor Moj Pal Singh, Professor Binay Sopat, Professor from Himachal, my friend, who has taken pain to organize this conference. I take opportunity to salute all the members of HCTA and HFUCTO for their immense contribution, not only to strengthen IFUCTO at home, but also leading the struggle of IFUCTO at national level. Friends, IFUCTO not only symbolizes the hopes and aspirations of academicians of the country, it also keeps burning the flame of essence of an Indian culture's unity in diversity. Throughout its long, glorious history, IFUCTO statutory conference, academic conferences are being held at regular intervals in different parts of India, which enrich cultural significance. Kurukshetra, where we have the privilege of organizing 32nd academic conference, is also a place of historic heroic inequity. Kurukshetra is as old as the history of India. According to R.C. Majumdar, it was a religious cultural center even before the immigration of the Aryas in India. The place is also the meeting ground of pre-Aryan and Aryan culture. The history of Kurukshetra unfolds the legendary achievements of Kuru, the great Mahabharata war, imparting wisdom of Lord Krishna to Arjuna, handing the down of Manu Smriti by Manu, melting pot of various religious views, and in fact is a mirror of a great part of Indian civilization. Kurukshetra not only symbolized the fusion of different streams of Indian culture, also contributed to the democratic protest movement of the country. Sikh uprising, the Wahhabi movement, the Sipahi community, rich heritage, geographical location, a strategical political location, influence of different culture and religion has made Kurukshetra possesses its own culture traits, which is very unique to say the least. The message of this place is a candle which will definitely dispel the present surrounding darkness. Friends, this academic conference of IFUCTO is being held at a moment when the situation worldwide in our country is confronted with multifarious challenges. The crisis of neo-globalization is bringing back the repressive power of the nation state to deal with economic crises and popular discontents against rising prices, rising inequality and rising unemployment. International capital is now using its hegemony and power on the nation state by supporting ultra-rightist fascist forces and undermining the process of democratization. War-like situations have developed in different parts of the globe, and continuing Ukraine-Russia war as a sinister design of international capital undermines the need of global corporations, which is needed to fight global crisis of environment, regional imbalances and poverty, etc. In our country too, the core democratic values, the composite culture based on pluralism of faith, religion, language and living ways, freedom of press and dissent are under serious threat. The politics of silencing enshrined in Indian Constitution, the politics of silencing dissenting views is being aggressively pursued, undermining the basic principle enshrined in our Indian Constitution. The system of education, which is our serious concern, and the concept of education, which AI Phukto is committed and struggled long, has been distorted by the hasty unilateral implementation of NEP 2020. Our voices and objection to the undemocratic, unscientific, communal and exclusionary character of NEP 2020 hardly finds democratic response by the government of India. They have been undemocratic and already implemented many provisions of NEP 2020. AI Phukto's vision of education is under serious threat, and our slogan to save education, save campus and save nation failed to penetrate into the pre-convinced ideological mindset of the ruling desperation at the center. In a very difficult and unprecedented environment, the academic think tank of the country will have their brain a storming session and will definitely come to concrete roadmap and future program which will save our education and our constitution. As Professor Deshmukh, during his speech, told that this is the first NEP which is being imposed by the government, and every part is being imposed on the nation. They are not talking about the budget, they are not talking about the diversities, they are not talking the unity and diversity of the country. One nation, one syllabus, everything is one. This is against the ethos of our Indian Constitution. So, Professor Arun Kumar has also exposed many things, how NEP and what is the situation in the higher education of India and how government is taking it very in the way of capitalist way, in corporate way only. So, comrades and friends, I want to express my deep condolences for the members of bereaved family of disastrous earthquake in Turkey and Syria. We also express condolences to the victims of civil as well as military persons in Russia-Ukraine war. AI Phukto felt heavily on the victims of caste, communal and terrorist attack in different parts of our country. AI Phukto records condolences for the sad demise of illustrious personalities for our country and abroad who have lasting contribution. Prominent among them were Melody Q. Lata Mangeshkar, Lyric Bappi Lahiri, Birju Maharaj, Shiv Kumar Sharma, great comedian Raju Srivastav, Mulayam Singh Yadav, former CM and Central Minister, distinguished advocate Prashant Bhushan. AI Phukto also expresses condolences for the passing away of Queen Elizabeth II, Mikhail Gorbachev, Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister of Japan, Jiang Zemin, former Chinese President, Francisco M. Bermudez, former President of Peru. With these names, many of our colleagues, our activists, our leaders in a state and in local areas have passed away in this period. We, on behalf of AI Phukto, express our deep condolence to them also. Friends, I want to focus to some Yes. So I request the House to express their condolence. Please, 1 minute silence and. Yes, sit down, please. Friends, we just point out some international developments also. We meet in this academic conference and annual general meeting of the Most Favored Association after the completion of a long and unprecedented era. The world reeled under the black shadow of COVID-19 pandemic in the past couple of years and more. Along the affecting the world in a unique manner, the pandemic accounted for a major setback in our own country as well as a matter of fact, we have practically lost 2 precocious years of our lives by miserably playing hide and seek with death itself. Nevertheless, the last 2 years have not effectually paused in its despair and disappointment. We are still reeling under the immense negativity that the pandemic has unleashed in our lives and livelihood. We have seen in this period newer manifestations of imperialism, the traffic in mindless profiteering, as well as the opportunism of the aggressive powers, which divide as well as unite whenever feasible. We have seen wars, civil as well as international terrorism, and violency of all kinds, such that the overall damages made to the global environment and ecology have now brought us to confrontation with the grim prospects of our own future. The world economy has hit the doldrums, and in order to negotiate the effects of this, the more powerful nations are taking recourse to corrupt means of various kinds. And as a result of this, the rich and the poor seem to be equally affected. The pandemic has directly affected the lives of about 300 million people, and among them about 5 million have succumbed to death. There have been huge damages towards all kinds of human resources, and most countries have been affected economically. The education sector has perhaps been the worst affected. The UNESCO, in a recent report, apprises us that as much as 90% of the students around the world have faced intolerable situations and hardships during the pandemic, and this has severely jeopardized their present as well as future goals and pushed many into the brink of uncertainty. We have the COVID-19 vaccine, but in the wake of its manufacture and subsequent marketing, we have seen some of the corporate pharmaceutical companies amassed huge profits by capitalizing on the panic and despair of the masses. Statistics say that as many as 9 pharmaceutical company business houses captured into great wealth for this. Some countries like Cuba and Vietnam have devoted themselves to preparing vaccines, keeping in mind the means of common men. In the post-COVID world, millions have lost their jobs and many have suffered cuts in their salaries, unemployment, pay cuts, hunger and poverty plays the fortune of even the most developed countries worldwide. Sadly enough, in these troubled times, the imperialistic forces are in the lookout for quick profits, and they have succeeded in sowing seeds of war anonymously between nations. The war between Russia and Ukraine is one of such example. The unwanted interference in this matter of the United States, the subsequent advice for the Ukraine alliance with NATO, or even the sale of US weapons may all interpreted as a ruse or to assume imperialistic control over the latter. We demand the occasion of such wars. We demand the end of such wars. If peace be not instituted imminently, we definitely run the risk of being confronted with a nuclear war. We also pray for the world peaceful mind people. Imperial control and power imposed by Israel on Palestine must end. These waves, particularly the wars between Russia and Ukraine, have impacted the global economy in such a manner that there have been unprecedented rise in the prices of oil, gas, and other essential commodities. In the middle of such things, we do have the brighter prospect of rise of socialism in some countries of Latin America. This is notwithstanding the fact that we have all witnessed the motivated rise against the newly elected president of Brazil in disgraced mutinous. The sectarian and separatist situation in Peru is also deeply disturbing. On the other hand, the Taliban aggression and reassumption of political control in Afghanistan has brought us in confrontation with the questions of humanity at large. If a large mass of land like Afghanistan be under the clutches of a terrorist forces, how safe are the neighboring countries in the Asian subcontinent? And then we have the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar. Religion and the mass slaughter of the lives keep challenging the entire human civilization. And alongside this crisis, various other South Asian nations such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal and Sri Lanka are reeling under political and economic problems which are disconnecting, to say die least. In our country, we have long With this, the added crisis of religious dogmatism, a violent and extremist nationalism, as well as hatred and violence towards the peripheral minorities and the subaltern classes. Interestingly enough, one notices the dangerous pre-delicious and attempts of finalizing, tempering, or rewriting our history. There are attempts, for instance, to fiddle with the history of our independence struggle. As a result of the new liberal and open economy, there is an attempt to legitimize the kinds of power, hierarchies, crimes against humanity, atrocities against women, unemployment and price hike, and the denial of education. These are now all pervasive in our country. One sees an extraordinary rise in the price of life-saving drugs, oxygens, and other medical facilities. Many have lost their jobs during the countrywide lockdown due to COVID. Many migrant workers have lost their lives on their way home, and country has not been able to recover from the economic crisis on account of the COVID pandemic. The second wave of the COVID pandemic has exposed the lack of medical facilities in our country. Not only was there a crisis with oxygen, people were forced to dispose of the dead bodies of their dears only in Gangas, as there was no place for cremation. There was also a severe crisis in the availability and administration of the COVID vaccine. The overcrowded medical centers only helped facilitate the spread of the virus. However, one must never forget how even in the middle of such crisis, our health workers and medical staff administered the indefatigable services and help. Some of them also succumbed to death in the process. One must also not forget the role played by our youth and our students who administered all help to the ailing thousands in a manner which is nothing short of being heroical. The national scene in the time of our this 32nd academic conference is being held. An environment of serious gloom and desperation pervading throughout the country. There has been a close honeymoon between corporate and fundamentalist forces, threatening the basic structure of our constitution, making the life of common men unbearable, indiscriminate sell out of key public sectors, and imposing upon the collective wisdom of the nation a retrograde, undemocratic, unscientific, communal and exclusionary educational policy. Friends, you have heard many things on the education policy also. You know how education policy is imposed upon us during the lockdown period, and we have told many times there was not a single word of secularism, there was not a single word for social justice, there was no plan of budget for education, and many times our Prime Minister, our Education Minister, our Finance Minister are saying that government is not ready to bear the burden of the higher education in India. So you can imagine what situation is to come for the higher education in India. AI Phukto, similarly, and under the broad banner of Joint Forum Movement also organized series of protest program against the retrograde, unscientific and undemocratic exclusionary nature of NEP 2020. The 31st conference of AIPUCTO held in Tirupati last year, 7th January to 9th January 2020, discussed in depth the different features of NEP and give a clarion call to build up a strong resistance movement against the implementation of NEP 2020. The statutory conference further emphasized the build-up powerful movements in the state as well as in the center. With a loud voice of protest, AIPUCTO 31st conference gave a call for repeal of NEP 2020. Friends, I am very sorry to inform you that the communication gap is so widened between AIPUCTO and the government. No letter is replied, no voices is even addressed by either UGC or the ministry, and the government is going their own way in unilateral way. In this position, whatever AIPUCTO suggested during the preparation of the NEP 2020 and many moments we have suggested very good things for this NEP, but they have not taken a single word, they have not incorporated a single word from the suggestion of the AIPUCTO. It has been prepared to implement their capitalist and their corporate economic policy, and they have made the education policy as the tools of implementation. AIPUCTO left no stone unturned to express its serious reservation on different and anti-education draft regulations such as blending learning system of teaching and learning, 4 years undergraduate program, common university entrance test, national higher education qualification framework, academic credit bank, bank of credit, multiple entry exit, including the recent draft regulation on the foreign university regulation. And when all our petition, prayer, request for democratic dialogue with the Ministry of Education, Government of India did not find democratic response, AIPUCTO organized a massive protest movement on 3rd August 2020 at New Delhi. AIPUCTO undertook a historic dharna program from 16th to 18th November 2020 in front of UGC office, New Delhi. And this dharna program was forced upon us due to the undemocratic and a stubborn attitude of the Ministry of Education as well as UGC. To add insult to injury, Delhi Police Administration on the behest of central government as well as UGC resorted to all repressive measures to dislocate and disrupt our democratic protest. Thanks to the militant leadership of AIPUCTO, not only we resisted the onslaught, but successfully completed our program of action. The final nail in the coffin of the public-funded education system came with the UGC draft regulation on the entry of foreign university bill. AIPUCTO strongly resisted this undemocratic, exclusionary move and exhibited the resentment through a successful black badges protest on 14th February. It was an all India protest on 14th February 2020. Friends, I want to point out here that this foreign university bill is pending from first UPA government. But this time, this is before you, UGC has not had the regulation, and they have invited the public advices, public minds on this, but they have decided to implement it. So this is the last attempt of the central government to destroy the public university of the country. Along with the convinced ideological consideration, the government of India not only taking measures to centralize the academic governance of the higher educational institutions, but also devoted the task of preparing a national curriculum framework without wider democratic and academic consultation. This is for your kind information that NEC has constituted a committee to expedite the publication of a document on alternative education policy. And we have already announced that our alternative document committee has prepared a document. It will be presented before you for discussions, and whatever valuable suggestions will come from the House, we shall incorporate in them. We want to enrich this alternative document, and this document will be presented before the central government, before the UGC and all the state governments, so that in the line of Tamil Nadu government, a state government can form the committee for their own state education policy, and we shall fight for it in coming days. Friends, the academic conference AIFOCTO expresses gratitude to all the members of the committee for their commendable contribution. The crisis of higher education has intensified in India in recent years with the introduction of economic reforms and its application in all sectors, including school and higher education. The focus of the new policy has been on centralization of education, utterly ignoring the fact that education is a state subject as per the Indian Constitution. The approach at the same time was a profit-making and to fashion the young mind with a sectarian bias. Attempts has been consistently pursued to push forward the policy without consultation and before arriving at a consensus. The situation is extremely grim, and the academic conference will deliberate the NEP 2020 and come out with the concrete program of action to save education, save campus, and save nation. Friends, here I want to say you that you know that all the public sectors are in trouble. Either our farmers are in trouble, banking sectors are in trouble, BSNL sectors are in trouble, all central and state public sectors are also in troubles. This is the moment to join the hands with all the organizations, all the central organizations, so that we can prepare a big movement, we can develop a big movement in India to protest this corporatization of education, this communalization of education, and the marketization of the education. Friends, this is the economic scene. You know the economic scene. The years began with the threat, the Omicron variant of coronavirus, the impact of Russia and Ukraine war, and the decision of several major central banks, especially the US Federal Reserve, to reserve their monetary policy had an impact on economic scenario of the country. The situation in India has also gone from bad to worse. The government at the center, no doubt, represents the interest of the corporate Indian and foreign and world financial capital. In spite of the tall claim of the government of India, a rosy economic scenario, India's unemployment rate rose to 8.3% in December, 16 months high as a job creation in the slowing economy failed to keep pace with the growing workforce. According to the data from Center, the moderating Indian economy, the labor participation rate has dropped to an all-time low of 38.8%. Friends, there are so many things here to say. I don't want to read out all the things. You know very well that how government is treating the public sectors, the economic sectors of the country, and this is the fact that poor is being more poorer and the rich is being more richer in this country, and the wide gap of economy is we are seeing from the unemployment is in the top position. Unemployment is top position, and there are so many scandals in financial sectors. Many has gone with crores and Arabs in foreign countries, and now where is the democratic space? Either no parliament is going. Why parliament is not going well? This is a question before us, because you know that Hindenburg report has exposed the position of the central government, and this due to Hindenburg report, the government is on back foot. So there is a tussle inside the parliament, and the democratic space of decision even in parliament assembly is being very narrow. So this is the situation of the country, and we hope that after going through this, here is the mention of wide inequality. We have given the Oxfam Indian reports states on price rise, Hindenburg research report on Adani Group, threat to democratic foundation, social solidarity undetermined, the social and hazards of environment, the politics, what is going on. You know that the Indian politics continue to spare the grim of poverty, illiteracy, mass nutrition, unhygienic living conditions, environment, hazards and inequalities of all kinds. These all are mentioned in this report. Election of president and vice president, how it has been completed. This is service-related issues. AI Phugto is consistent in focusing on service-related problem of its member. UGC scale revision has already been implemented throughout the country. However, there is no uniformity in the date of implementation and age of superannuation. AI Phugto is demanding uniform implementation of revised scales of pay, including the age of retirement to 65. Many states have not got the arrears of pay revision. We are also demanding restoration of old pension scheme, concrete medical facilities, dignified service condition for ad hoc, part-time guest faculty, block ground teachers, extension of RCOC, a stipulation for cash and not to insist for PhD as mandatory for cash promotion. For quality education, we are also demanding filling up all vacant teaching and non-teaching posts or on regular basis. Government is callous and indifferent. AI Phugto had a 3-day historical dharna program in front of UGC office, 16th to 18th November 22. We have also organized a black badges program to draw the attention of UGC as well as central government to our professional issues. Friends, nothing can be achieved without a struggle, as I feel. We have in last executive meeting, we have proposed the amendment of AI Phugto Constitution. It has already amended and adopted by the Executive Committee. We shall put this amended Constitution before you in the running session. So this is in printed form also. Professor Ravi from Tamil Nadu is ready to give all the states 4 or 5 copies for amended Constitution of AI Phugto, because next year is the statutory conference, and we see the trend that in academic conference our teacher delegates turn up very low, but in a statutory conference, when the election held for office bearers, the rush comes. to participate in our conference. Now only 800 registrations, but at the time of a statutory conference, minimum 2,000 registrations becomes easy. So you should take that constitution so that your aspiration may be fulfilled in coming days in the next statutory conference. From this days, I also want to request all the state federations that you should think over the statutory conference in the meantime, and many states have offered previously but denied. I request him again, they should consider for a statutory conference in coming session. Friends, our organizational activities have been listed in this AI4GS report, and you can find it very joint forum about joint forum movement, World Federation of Teachers Union, about funds. Funds is a great problem. We have the imagination to touch the moon also, but we teachers who are getting not less than 2 lakhs, not less than 2 lakhs in every state, everywhere in the country, but you are not sending a struggling fund, a struggle fund. Even your membership is deposited at the time of a statutory conference only. So I request, this trend damages the organization always. Everywhere we need money. Without money, no organization can be run. So I decided in our executive meeting today, minimum 15,000 has to be deposited by every affiliate in the struggle fund of AI4 so that we can plan for bigger struggle in future. You know that if one day a struggle is organized in Delhi, minimum 2 lakhs rupees is invested. Minimum 2 lakhs. And if you want a continuous movement and a struggle by AI4, you have to donate, you have to cooperate financially also. Then only we can say that we can do something. So this is the need of the hour for the cooperation from the all sectors of the country and all sectors of the teachers, for financial also. This is the AI4 report. Friends, I have tried my best to present an inclusive report. Everything is printed, so I don't want to read out all the things. What activities done during this session, everything is printed. Many state reports are included in it. So there may be lots of omission and commission. Please go through it and suggest your addition, deletion, inclusion in the report to make it more comprehensive as a valuable documents of AI4. Friends, I invite all of you to discuss this thoroughly, the GS government. You are free to criticize, you are free to give suggestions. If there is any weakness of our organization, you should discuss in the House thoroughly, so that today Arun Kumar is the General Secretary, tomorrow anybody will be the General Secretary. So AI4 should remain always. It is doing very well from last 65 years. I hope that you will enrich the organization, you will strengthen the organization in coming days with your activities, with your suggestions, with your supports, your financial supports also. With these words, I thank you all, and I present this GS report before you for open discussions. Thank you all.
साथी कुछ समय के लिए और बैठे रहें कृपया। एक महत्वपूर्ण सूचना साथियों के लिए ये है कि जनरल सेक्रेटरी रिपोर्ट पर डिस्कशन के लिए जो सुझाव कुछ साथी देना चाहें तो लंच के बाद जो है कमेटी में यहाँ पर सुझाव और डिस्कशन जो दिए जा सकते हैं। इसके अतिरिक्त इस कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं मंचासीन विद्वजन और टीचर लीडरों को सम्मानित करने के लिए आग्रह करता हूँ डॉक्टर धर्मवीर भारद्वाज जी से, जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हैं हरियाणा कॉलेज टीचर एसोसिएशन के, डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र दलाल जी वेस्ट कॉलेज भिवानी, डॉक्टर सुरेश कुमार जी, डॉक्टर धीरज त्रिखा जी और प्राचार्य डॉक्टर आरपी सैनी से आग्रह कि वो आएँ, और प्रोफेसर जहांगीर जो कि बांग्लादेश से हैं, जनरल सेक्रेटरी बांग्लादेश कॉलेज एंड यूनिवर्सिटी टीचर एसोसिएशन के वो जीएस हैं, उनको साल और स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट करने के लिए मैं सभी साथियों को आमंत्रित करता हूं। प्रोफेसर जहांगीर जी से भी मेरा निवेदन है कि उस सम्मान को ग्रहण करें। इसके बाद अगले सम्मान के लिए मैं सम्मानित साथियों को, सम्मान करने वाले साथियों को सूचना कह रहा हूं कि डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र कुमार सेक्रेटरी हैं हरियाणा कॉलेज टीचर एसोसिएशन के भिवानी जोन से, डॉक्टर राजेंद्र भंवरिया एक्स प्रेसिडेंट हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज टीचर एसोसिएशन, डॉक्टर राम सिंह प्रिंसिपल रिटायर्ड पूर्व लीडर आई फैक्टो, तथा डॉक्टर हरविंदर सिंह से भी मेरा आग्रह है कि वे मंच पर पहुंचकर प्रोफेसर मनकर सिंह जो कि प्रेसिडेंट हैं ऑल इंडिया फेडरेशन ऑफ रिटायर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी एंड कॉलेज टीचर्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के, उनको मोमेंटो तथा साल प्रदान कर सम्मानित करें। सुरेंद्र कुमार जी, डॉक्टर राजेंद्र भंवरिया जी, डॉक्टर राम सिंह जी, डॉक्टर हरविंदर सिंह जी ये सम्मानित करेंगे प्रोफेसर मनकर जी को। प्रोफेसर मनकर जी से भी मेरा निवेदन कि वे सम्मान ग्रहण करें। साथियों, अब आप सभी मंच के पीछे लंच के लिए अंडर द स्टेयर्स आमंत्रित हैं। लंच के 1 घंटे बाद जो है या फिर असेंबल होंगे। सभी उपस्थित साथी लंच के लिए आमंत्रित हैं। थैंक यू।
सभी डेलीगेट साथी ध्यान दें कि हम 3 बजे फिर से इसी हॉल में असेंबल होंगे टू हैव ए डिस्कशन ऑन द जनरल सेक्रेटरी रिपोर्ट। थैंक यू।
And those who want to take part in the discussion, they are requested to submit their names to the steering committee.
मेंबरशिप जमा करना चाहते हैं पार्टी में।
And friends, those who want to submit their membership, please, they are requested to submit it to Professor D. Kumar, our Honorable Treasurer.
करने की कोशिश की फोन पे, और वो हमारे वक्त सबसे ज्यादा रहेगा उत्तर प्रदेश। फोटो लेके जाएंगे, अरे हम लोग फोटो खिंचाने थोड़ी जाए यहाँ पे, फोटो लेके जाए फोटो लेके जाए आगे